Am I the jerk for getting a bike taken away? I'm at the end of this patience and want to know if what I've done is justified. My apartment is known for tight parking. There are probably 20 spots for 1620 apartments. There are no rules for parking, which causes issues from time to time with getting a spot near my building. Typically, it doesn't bother me as it's to be expected. My neighbors have 2 children, roughly 6 and 11, they don't take responsibility for. As a tame example, we have quiet hours set at 9:30 p.m. on weekdays. These children have been in the hallways screeching at midnight or even 1 a.m. on weeknights. The parents do nothing about it. To put it gently, these children think they can do whatever they want, no consequences. Summer is arriving and the weather has been great. The children across from me have also been enjoying this weather, except they're enjoying it so much that one of them, 11 years old, has taken to blocking the parking spots in my complex by parking his bike in the middle of one and standing there on his phone for hours. The parents watch this happen. The dad sometimes goes out and brings the bike back into their apartment late at night. Emphasis on sometimes. I've talked to them about this, as recently I've had to park over 5-10 minutes away from my building because of the child taking up an entire parking spot. The father shrugs and laughs and does nothing about it. The next point is where I am unsure if I'm the asshole. Our complex has strict rules about personal items taking up public spaces, planters, grills, and most relevantly bikes. They've sent emails stating they're not responsible for reimbursing personal items removed from the public spaces. I came home from a particularly stressful day, and the child was in the only spot left near my building. I asked him nicely to move his bike so I could park. The child stared at me, then laughed as he left his bike and went inside. His father watched all of this from their patio and did nothing. After parking 3 buildings over, I had had enough. I called the complex and reported a bike taking up parking. Within half an hour, maintenance came and took it. The next morning, I woke up to screeching from this child. His dad realized what happened and came over to yell at me. Pissed at being woken up at 7 a.m. on my one day off, I responded, "Play stupid games, win stupid prizes," before I shut the door and went about my day. Part of me feels justified, but there's part of me that feels bad this child won't have a bike for the majority of this summer. Am I the jerk? You are not the jerk, definitely. If more kids faced consequences, they wouldn't be so horrible. Soft parents need hard lessons too. The dad did nothing to get his son to move the bike, so what else could have been done? Am I the jerk for wanting to take my niece climbing and not my nephew? I like to rock climb and have been doing it on and off since I was a teenager. I have a niece named Abby and a nephew named Bart. They have always asked me to take them climbing, but I always said, wait till you're older, because I didn't want to take them until I could trust them to follow instructions. Well, a few weeks ago, I took them to a gym for the first time, and it was a nightmare. Bart is generally a good kid, but very ADHD, and once he got hyped, he stopped listening entirely. I spent most of our time together trying to prevent him from hurting himself or other people. He ran around on the mats, constantly got underneath other people, and unhooked an auto belay despite being explicitly told not to during induction. It was impossible to supervise him and Abby at the same time, and no one had a good time. To be honest, I was worried they were going to kick us out. The next week, I told my sister I would only take Abby because Bart was so hard to deal with. She agreed, and it was way easier with just Abby. I started taking Abby climbing once a week, which she loves. But now, my sister has changed her mind and doesn't want me taking the kids climbing unless I take both of them. Apparently, Bart is upset about being left behind, and now my sister is saying it's unfair to exclude him because he can't help having ADHD. Well, I have ADHD too, so it's not like I can't sympathize with him. But at the same time, there's no way I'm taking both of them again anytime soon. It's a safety issue. I'm open to trying again in 6 months or something once Bart is a bit older. But in the meantime, I don't think it's fair to prevent Abby from doing something she likes just because her brother can't do it. My sister said, my kids, my rules, and basically implied I was a jerk for knowingly hurting Bart's feelings. I like Bart and I'm happy to do other stuff with him, but I'm not taking him climbing until he can listen. I don't think I'm unreasonable. Am I the jerk? It's definitely not safe to bring someone who can't be expected to behave appropriately, as it could result in someone getting hurt. While it's understandable to want to include everyone, it isn't fair to exclude one child from an activity because of another child's limitations. A possible compromise might be to take the niece rock climbing and find a different, safer activity for the nephew. This way, both kids get quality time without risking anyone's safety. Am I the jerk for making my partner feel guilty? My 39-year-old female husband, 37-year-old male, works out of town every week and has for our son's entire life. He leaves Sunday evening and returns Thursday at varying times, depending on where he is and how late he is working. This Thursday is our son's last day of kindergarten. His school isn't having a graduation ceremony or anything, but on the last day of school, they have a big slideshow presentation for everyone and an ice cream social, which our son is super excited about. I texted my husband on Tuesday asking him if he was going to make it, to which he replied, "When is it?" and then, "Probably not, but I'll try." I know sometimes it's hard for him to leave early to get home for things, but it annoyed me that I had to bring it up. It's a recurring argument that I feel I have to ask a ton of questions instead of him offering information specifically about scheduling. Fast forward to last night. My husband tells me on our nightly phone call he is going to stop on the way home Thursday. He drives, and this week is 2.5 hours away from home, in order to buy a truck. He found one near his worksite this week and had originally told me he was going to pick it up after work on Wednesday, then drive it home on Thursday. So I asked him what time he thought he would be home. He said a half hour later than he would if he wasn't stopping, so, when pressed, 4:35. Then he changed the subject, but I was hung up on this. I said, so wait, you would be home at like 4 otherwise? I thought you were getting the truck today. The ice cream social is from 3:35:30. It seemed to me that he could leave work just a little early, but he was choosing not to. Even if he didn't leave work a little early, he could have made part of the ice cream social. As I am working this out loud, he starts getting really defensive. This is where I might be the asshole. I said, you get the same emails I do. I shouldn't have had to even ask you if you were going to make it. And it seems like you have more wiggle room in your schedule than you let on. I had assumed when he said he couldn't make it, it was because they were working late, but it was a matter of 30 min. He then says, I get a million emails every day, but thanks for making me feel like shit. At this point, I'm really annoyed and say I'm going to go. We don't communicate at all until this afternoon when he texts me today at noon and says he is in fact going to make the ice cream social. I'm happy for our son that he'll be there, but I feel annoyed that I had to have this argument with him before he prioritized it, and that I had to even bring it up to him to begin with. So, am I the asshole for making him feel guilty? You are not in the wrong here. He obviously was aware of the timing and chose not to attend until you guilted him. Your kids aren't going to have any kind of relationship with him if he keeps prioritizing everything but them. It's a sacrifice, and it matters that they have you, because one day, they won't. Am I the jerk for separating my finances from my spouse because they won't quit giving their parents money? My husband and I have been together for over 9 years, and the idea of separating our finances never crossed my mind until this past year. I am the saver, and he is the spender. Initially, this didn't bother me as we both had 2 incomes and lived comfortably. His family has always borrowed money from us but rarely ever paid it back. I do not lend money, not even to family, but I do not stop him from lending to his. A few years ago, my husband was in a severe car accident and can no longer work, so I became the sole breadwinner. He now receives disability, but it was a 4-year process to get approved. During that time, we depleted our savings, came close to losing everything, and our debt piled up with nothing I could do. When he received his back pay, I asked him to pay off his vehicle loan, on which I had already paid over $50,000 in the past few years, and put some in savings. However, he did neither. Instead, he spent the money, loaning over $10,000 to his family, and not contributing anything towards our accumulated debt. While I managed to save some money from my paycheck during this time, it was not much. I had plans to pay off some debts once I saved enough, which he was aware of. About a month ago, I noticed over $700 missing from our savings and asked him about it. He told me he had loaned it to his parents. When I inquired about when he would get it back, as I had already planned to use that money, he said he didn't know when they could afford to repay it. I was furious and confronted him about it. He had made the decision without consulting me, knowing it would upset me, and we had a massive fight. I thought things would change after that, but to my dismay, yesterday I discovered another $1,000 missing from my account given to his parents. I expressed my anger and informed him that I was done lending money to his parents. I would only pay half the household bills and buy our food. If he wants to continue giving his disability money to them, that's fine, but I will not work 60 hours a week so he can keep giving away our money. Now, am I in the wrong for withdrawing all the money I put in the bank and opening a new account that he cannot access? He believes I am and insists that I should prioritize making his parents happy. I want his parents to be happy, but I do not want to fund that happiness. You are not the jerk. Separating the money was a smart move, especially since he clearly has no idea how to handle finances responsibly. It sounds like he's putting his family's needs above yours and using you as an ATM, which is not okay. You need to consider marriage counseling and maybe even a financial advisor to get on the same page and protect your future. Am I the jerk if I stay home from a family night out because my brother-in-law will be there? A little bit of context. I, 22 years old female, until a few months ago lived with my sister, 28 years old female, and her husband, 31 years old male. In January, I had an errand to run after work that would take less than 10 minutes, including driving time. As I was getting in my car, my sister stopped me and said brother-in-law had to go to the same place, so we should just go together. I really insisted that I would go alone and didn't want to ride with him, but after a lot of convincing, I eventually caved. Brother-in-law said he was putting pants on and we would leave in a minute. I had worked a 10-hour shift starting at 4 a.m. that day, so I was really tired and just wanted to get this done and go to sleep. So after waiting for half an hour and him still not being ready, I just left by myself and went to bed. I wasn't mad about it, just tired, so I forgot about the whole incident. After that, I started to notice brother-in-law blatantly ignoring me or making mean comments about me. So, after about a month, I asked him if I had done something and was willing to apologize because I didn't want to have conflict. He said no, but he continued to ignore me and be rude. In March, I was really struggling financially, and my sister told me she was going to let me not pay rent that month because she knew I was broke. But brother-in-law said not to help me because he was mad at me and wanted to make sure I struggled in life and didn't deserve help from them. She said he was still mad about what happened in January and was upset that I never apologized. I asked why he didn't say anything when I asked him, and he said he shouldn't have to tell me how I disrespected him. I should just remember. So I apologized to him for not remembering and not meaning to disrespect him. He still ignores me and makes rude comments, so I am protecting my peace and making sure to stay low contact with brother-in-law. I have my own apartment now, so I don't have to live with him anymore. A few days ago, my sister invited me to go do an escape room with her and some family this Friday, and I immediately said yes. After I found out brother-in-law is coming too, I told her that since he is going, I would rather stay home, and that we should go another time without him as a girls' night. My sister said she thought I was joking in March when I said I didn't want to speak to brother-in-law again. Now, my sister and mom are saying I'm a jerk, and I should just get over it, and that I'm having a dramatic reaction to an insignificant comment. Should I get over it and still go, or stick to my gut and stay home? Am I the jerk? I think you are not in the wrong here. Your brother-in-law's behavior towards you has been hostile and unkind. He never stopped being horrible, even explicitly saying he wanted you to struggle in life. It's emotionally taxing, and you can't be expected to get over something that's still an issue. If your family won't stick up for you, it's up to you to stick up for yourself. Am I the jerk for refusing to find a roommate for college against my mom's wishes? My mother and I have been arguing with each other for the past 4 days because she is insisting that I must find a roommate for college. I have talked to about 10 people already, and those interactions have either ended in ghosting, an agreement that the two of us would be better off as friends, or them deciding to stay with someone else. I go to bed around 9:30 p.m. so I can get up for swim practice at 6 a.m., and I don't really like to party. I am not going to a school where there are tons of athletes, so it has been hard to find someone who will also fit my schedule. A few days ago, my mother saw this other mother's Facebook post about her daughter wanting to find a roommate. Despite the fact that I asked my mother to not get involved in the roommate process multiple times, she just couldn't help herself. I decided a long time ago that I wanted to have a randomly selected roommate. Since my mother connected with this other mother, she has been driving me insane about connecting with this woman's daughter. Just to get my mother off my back, we exchanged a couple of Instagram messages, but it was very clear to me that this girl was not looking for compatibility, but just to get the process over with. She also came across as a little judgmental of some of my responses. My mother is insisting that I don't know her and I need to FaceTime with her in order to actually get to know her. I have no interest in doing this. I'm fine with my choice to have a random roommate, but my mother is not. She has quite literally been screaming at me to FaceTime with this girl. Just today, my mother sent me a text about FaceTiming with the girl, and when I didn't answer it, my mother sent the exact same text an hour later. I really do believe that my mother is trying to live vicariously through me. I'm getting so fed up with being yelled at. I also asked my mother politely to let me be an adult and do this process by myself. She has refused to let me do that and has been continuously messaging this mother on Facebook, saying that I would love to talk to her daughter. I don't think I'm being the a-hole, but what do I know? I'm just an immature, stubborn mule in the words of my mother. You are not in the wrong here. Picking a roommate is a big decision, and it's important to find someone you'll be compatible with. Your mother pushing for a specific person sounds like she's trying to control your college experience, which isn't fair to you. Consider reaching out to the swim program to connect with future teammates, or just go with the random option to keep things simple and start your college life on your own terms. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.